Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 165. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With this week is Isli.
Yo.
And Messiah's out of town, so Messiah will not be joining us. We've all been kind of traveling the past week. We didn't record last week. I was out of town. And then, just everybody's taking their own little vacations or business trips, all during this time frame.
Right before the actual holiday. It makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, so it was like, okay, I'm on family trip for like 8 days and then get home at like 6. Then the next day I had to fly out for a business trip to Chicago. So it's like, so I was like PST, MST, PST, CST, PST. And I'm like, I'm tired of them.
I get it. And I wasn't even changing time zones and I'm still exhausted. It's just like travel takes it out of you.
Yeah. But especially because it was like the heat sucked on our vacation because like triple digits dry heat and I hated it. It was just so not fun. Vegas, Grand Canyon, all that stuff. It's like, this isn't fun. But then it was like when I got off the airport, Chicago, it was like 80s, but super humid. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much worse.
I was going to say 80s in Chicago is worse than 100, but no humidity.
Yeah. I was like, give me back that dry heat. But at least in dry heat, like once you adapt to it, if you don't move, you're pretty good. You're like, okay, I just stay still. But
well, in dry heat, it's like anything over like 80-ish feels about the same, unless you're going into 110. In Chicago, anything over 70-ish feels like you're just going to die, and you're just sitting there sweating, and you're like, I'm not moving. Why are buckets of sweat coming off of me right now?
And then the hotels also felt humid. So I'm like, you're a hotel. Why is the lobby so gross? Like, turn it down, man. It's so weird. I was like, God, whatever. But anyways, so we were off for a while, but there wasn't a ton of stuff that happened while we were out. There was like little miscellaneous stuff, not really important. But there were a couple things that I did save. Nothing necessarily huge. But I saw that Minecraft is finally getting a native PS5 version to bring in line with Xbox Series X and S. Like, that's something, they had those native versions, or quote unquote, like upgraded versions on Xbox for a while. And I was like, when are they going to release like the PS5 one? So they finally did it. There's no ray tracing, but at least it's got a native PS5 app. So it's got 4K resolution and higher settings for rendering distance and anti-aliasing, all that stuff. So that's good. But there's no word on when ray tracing will come. But that's nice.
I had no idea Minecraft hadn't been upgraded yet for PS5 and didn't have a native version.
Yeah.
With how popular it is, I'm shocked that wasn't like a right out of the bat thing.
I'm sure if they didn't have like the backwards compatibility, they probably would have jumped on it a little quicker. But they're just like, just use the PS4 version. But and then another thing I saw that kind of bummed me out was that so there was a beta for Frostpunk 2 going on. I didn't want to join it because I was like, nah, I'm just going to go in. I kind of want to go in blind on my first playthrough. I played the first game enough. I know some of the mechanics. I don't even know, like, there's a lot of things, at least in the first game, that's very much like, if you do, X, Y, Z, then this thing will always happen. Like, if you do overtime on 2 buildings, you'll always have someone die because you did that. Like, you should only do it on 1 building. But if you do overtime on like a stockpile on the ground, like, it won't kill anybody, yada, yada. So like, there's these little things and like, never do this policy because it's always better to do this policy. There's like definitely min-maxing in that game. So I'm like, I don't want to play the beta. I'll just wait. But yeah, they had the beta go on for quite a while. And I guess due to the feedback, they decided to delay the game from July 25th to September 20th. They said in a post saying basically, we know this is not the news you wanted to hear. However, we believe that, so the developers said the feedback from the recent beta helped prioritize certain features it's already working on. So they said, however, we believe that these additional features are something you deserve to see in game from day one, not in a patch added after release. So I guess they had some people liked what was there, but I guess it felt like some stuff was missing, but they were working on some extra things that were going to come later. And they figured it'd actually be a better experience if we had that stuff we're working on coming sooner versus just like a patch down the road. So I'm a little bummed because I was looking forward to Frostpunk 2, but I'll wait till September.
I mean, it's a bummer, but also I can definitely respect them actually acknowledging that the beta is early enough that things can be changed from it. I feel like a lot of times when people put out betas, they're really just like a demo of the game. They don't intend on taking any feedback or making any changes based off of it. So it's kind of cool that there's actually going to be changes based off of it.
Yeah, especially if it's usually if it's a closed beta, it'll be like, okay, there can be some. But yeah, it's typically, especially if a game has multiplayer, it's usually just like stress testing the server. Like, hey, can we improve the net code? Can we improve this? Yada, yada. There are some things for like, X-Defiant released, and it's not technically in 1.0. It's like essentially in early access. They don't call it early access, but yeah, they're pretty quick at doing updates in that game, which is nice, and listening to player feedback. But yeah, this is definitely like, because it's a single player game, it's like, all right, well, they'll add some extra features to it. But the only other thing, a couple of things that were, is PlayStation Plus July games were announced. There's going to be Borderlands 3, both PS4 and PS5 versions, NHL 24, and then Among Us as well. So if you haven't played any of those games, I'd only say maybe get on Borderlands 3 if you didn't play it. I'm curious how that would play now without all the like quote unquote balance changes they did. But yeah, it's a game like
I went back semi recently to do one of the DLCs that I just never finished, and it's fun. There are still broken builds. There's always going to be broken builds in Borderlands, which is why it's always bugged me when they do balance changes, because it's not like there's PvP, so they should just allow more of the broken builds that people enjoy. But I won't get on a tangent with that. It feels the same. Like, it is still Borderlands. There are still broken builds. It's still fun to like run around and just blow shit up.
Yeah, I feel like I would love to go back and play the PS5 version, especially because it has like the 120 FPS mode and high resolutions. Like, I wouldn't mind playing that higher frame rate. I don't think it hit that 120. I think it was more like maybe low hundreds, based on from what I saw from Digital Foundry back when it first came out. But I wouldn't mind like going back and like replaying it maybe. And then I never did the DLC, although I do have Tiny Tina's Wonderland, so it's like I could just play that and then not go back and play 3, but I wouldn't mind like jumping into 3. I'm sure I'll remember like, oh, it's, people always talk about like, what's the game where you want to replay it, but then you get to that part. And then like, I don't have a lot of those. So it's like, oh, it's this section again. But I feel like I could get that in Borderlands, like, oh, it's these quests I got to do or something. It's like, I hate these ones. But
yeah, for me, it's definitely that Borderlands just gets a bit repetitive on a replay. I played the hell out of 2 because I thought Handsome Jack and everything was a phenomenal story. I think the problem with replaying like the other games for me, Tiny Tina's kind of included, is I just don't find the stories very good. 1 was interesting, set up the world. 2 had a good story. 3 was not a great story. And what's the spinoff? I'm forgetting. Not Tiny Tina's.
The spinoff.
Fuck me.
Another Borderlands spinoff?
Yeah. Well, there was the Tales ones, which were decent stories.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It'll come to me halfway through the podcast, and I'll shout it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's every.
It wasn't an actual spinoff. It was one of the DLCs. Was an expansion for one of them. But yeah, I didn't love the story for 3.
How many expansions were there for Borderlands 3?
God, like 5? Well, DLCs. They had like 5 DLCs.
Yeah, see, they had Multiverse, Disciples of the Vault of Mara. Don't know what that is.
Pre-sequel. That was the other game I was trying to think of.
Pre-sequel.
Yeah.
So it looks like they have characters. Yeah, because they have Moe's Final. Yeah, they have like character packs. I'm trying to see like actual expansion packs, but they're not really breaking down properly. Let's do game add-on. Yeah, this doesn't really help. But yeah, I'd only go back to it if it was like, playing with, because I think I did play most of it with my cousin, but if I did like co-op again, or a full squad of 4 or something like that could be fun. Because then it's like, don't worry about the story, just goof around, shoot the shit. That'd be fun. Like one of those games. But yeah, that's there. So if you never played it, it's still a fun game to play, even if it's like it's story wise definitely the weakest of the 3, but it's still a fun game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great first experience playing it.
Yeah. And then the last bit of news I saw was apparently Yves Guillemot mentioned that they're working on some Assassin's Creed remakes. They spoke in an interview that was published on their Ubisoft website, where basically he told players to get excited for some remakes, saying, quote, "Firstly, players can be excited about some remakes, which will allow us to revisit some of the games we've created in the past and modernize them. There are worlds in some of the older Assassin's Creed games that are still extremely rich. Secondly, to answer your question..." Oh, I can't see They want Assassin's Creed games to come out more regularly, so I guess that could handle. Like, you have a big gap between your mainline Assassin's Creed games, but in between, if you're not doing DLC or you are doing DLC like they did for like Valhalla and Odyssey and whatnot, they could always just do like, okay, between it could have been like, between Odyssey there was a remake, and then there was Valhalla, and then a remake, and then the next game. But I'm like, when I think about Assassin's Creed, aside from Black Flag, and maybe if they redid the first one based on, because Mirage did look good and it played well, so that's essentially the first game, kind of. I guess you could redo that one, but like, I don't know. People do love 2, but I'm like, I feel like Black Flag is the only one, but you just launched your Skull and Bones.
I would enjoy a remake of some of the earlier Assassin's Creed. God, this is like a dangerous way to phrase it. I would definitely enjoy a remake of 1 or 2 with more of the RPG elements that Origins had, but it'd have to be like RPG light, because I wouldn't want it to veer too close towards the size of Valhalla. Like, if they could remake 1 and 2 with different weapons that you could fight with, the combat systems in later games, some of the stealth systems in later games, I would actually enjoy that, so it felt different. However, I would acknowledge that, Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 were entirely based off of stealth, and that element definitely went away in later games. So it would change the feel of the game, but I think that would be pretty cool for a remake. Since we still have the original, having a remake that felt different would be fun for me.
Yeah, like AC Black Flag, the main story is like 23 and a half hours, plus like all the sides is like 41. It's like, okay. And then I guess if they did, how long was Assassin's Creed 2? Assassin's Creed 2 did have some DLC. That's, holy shit. Oh, never mind. That's Odyssey. That's not Assassin's Creed 2. You liars. There's no games. Why they only popped up the DLC for?
Does it think that Odyssey is 2 because it rebooted? So like Origins is 1, Odyssey's 2, and Valhalla's 3 now?
No, it's because the Odyssey, The Fate of Atlantis Episode 2 DLC. That's not what I want. How long to beat Assassin's Creed 2? 19 hours is saying for AC2, but that's probably just main story, not yeah. And I guess, yeah, but again, I don't know, because it would have to be the early ones, right? Like all the ones that were on the PS3, and then 4 came out, that launched on PS4 and Xbox One.
I mean, if they're doing a remake and not a remaster, there's a lot of like weird little things they could update about the stories that I do think would be kind of cool. So obviously the big complaint with 3 being, how Desmond's story ended. If they remade that and added more content or something, that could actually be a really cool experience. Yeah, like I just don't think that's probably what they would do, because that would take, at that point you're just making a new game. So
yeah, if they bundled them together, like if it was like the AC2 trilogy, like AC2, Brotherhood, and then Revelations, like I could see that as like some kind of package, like because people love the Ezio games. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know, especially if they say they have more stuff in those worlds. Like, how would you expand? Like, was there stuff you wanted to do but you just didn't have time, or you thought of later, like, oh, it would have been cool if we had incorporated this thing? Like, did you overscope, and now it's like, okay, we could add all that stuff because we already have the blueprint for the main game. Now we can put all those little things that we really wanted to, put in there. Like, I'm curious, but yeah, well, we'll see. Like, I have no idea if I play them. Like, because again, I don't know. Maybe if they did like I don't know, they can't really do like a lot of games when they're old and they make them new, they always have like legacy controls and then modern controls, but you can't really do like legacy missions and modern mission design. Like, oh, you played the old school where we have those dumb tailing quests that you have to do that people hate in Assassin's Creed. And it's like, or we can get rid of those and the quest becomes something different. Like, I don't know, but
there are ways that they can make it really cool depending on how much time and money they actually pour into it.
Yeah, because like the Ezio collection, which they did release, is like 50 hours total. And that's like, okay, that's good. 3 games, 50 hours. That's not bad. And yeah, that's 2009, 10, and 11 for those games. So it's like, okay, I could see you updating those. But yeah, we'll, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure they're like a ways out for those games anyways. But yeah, that's again, not a lot of new stuff that happened. I know there's like the ex-Konami producers like, oh, it'd be great if I could work with Kojima and his team again to make another Metal Gear. It's like, yeah, you could just say that. That doesn't mean anything. So I don't know why this is news. But there are some sales. I know Lenovo has their 4th of July sale going on right now. So there's some good deals on Lenovo computers and what have you. And I think, let me check this PlayStation Store. Yeah, there's a mid-year sale going on. Well, this ends on the 3rd for like up to 80% off. What other sales do they have going on? They have a mid-year sale. They have a weekend sale, but that's going to go away. Phantom Liberty's on sale again. I should pick that up. It's only 20% off, but I do want to play Phantom Liberty at some point. Yeah, but there are some deals going on, and obviously the same deals will be applied to Xbox and Steam and Epic Game Store and all that. So it's across the board. But AC Mirage is 50% off. You get that for $25. And then Avatar Frontiers Pandora, but that's the gold edition. I always hate when they only put the higher tier editions of games on sale, but not the base version.
I don't mind it for certain games because Valhalla is recently on sale for like $10 for the deluxe edition. And I feel like if there's a ton of DLC, in that case, it kind of makes sense to just get the deluxe version instead of like the base version for $8 or whatever.
Right. Far Cry 5 is $9 right now. 85% off.
That's a good deal.
FF16 is 40% off. It's a game bundle. Game bundle. What is that? What do you mean game bundle? There's no other thing listed here. What are you talking about? It's just the normal edition. This is game bundle. And I'm like, that's not how that goes. But anyways. Oh, Sea of Thieves is already on sale. You can get the premium edition for... Why are there 2 different premium editions? There's like a gold
I don't know why you're questioning capitalism right now.
It says deluxe.
I feel like this.
It's the Sea of Thieves Deluxe and Sea of Thieves Premium, but underneath the icons it says Premium Edition on both and not Deluxe Edition. Like the PlayStation Store has these like little tags underneath that like give it like, oh, virtual currency, but then it says like game bundle. I'm like, this or add-on pack or level or whatnot. But I'm like, these are 2 different editions. But yes, but they're already on sale. I know Sea of Thieves is apparently doing pretty well on PlayStation. But Bloodborne's $10 again. Yeah, all the usual ones are on sale. But anyways, but yeah, that's again pretty much it for the news. Not a ton. We're kind of in that period now where it's like, okay, we're about to hit July, and then some games should be coming out soon. We got some. Well, with Frostpunk 2 getting delayed, that got pushed out July, but we have some other games that are supposed to come out this month, and then August, September. We're like in that. Okay, new games are going to start coming out again starting next month. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it for the news. So we'll go ahead and jump into what we've been playing. I'm not sure how much you've been able to play. Well, again, we've been out for a while, so I don't know if you had any time to play stuff prior to your travel.
The only thing, so I've been traveling, so I've been playing Switch games, but the only game I've been playing really is I played and beat Signalis. So I went back to that. I had started it a while ago and went back and played it. I ended up really enjoying the game. It's kind of like a 2D cross between Soma and Resident Evil. Really enjoyed the horror elements of it. The horror elements were more kind of psychological horror. I think it's hard to have jump scares or actual visual horror on a handheld platform. Yeah, like on a handheld platform in 2D, I don't think you're ever really going to get great. You're not going to get great like visual horror jump scares. So they leaned into the psychological horror, which I enjoyed. I thought that was kind of a nice little touch and probably a good decision. The story itself I found pretty interesting. There's some weird elements that are kind of vague and open to interpretation, which I liked a lot. The weakest part for me was probably the gameplay. It was like, it's a tiny bit too slow, and I actually think the gameplay was good. It just was bad for how I was playing the game, by which I mean like I was playing it while traveling, so I was playing it like on the train or something like that. And when you're playing a game on a train, I think it's sometimes hard to get into a story and kind of psychological game. Trains are good for like, Donkey Kong Country or something like that, where you're playing levels and it's kind of mindless. So I'll chalk that up to my experience playing it in the locations I was playing it. I recommend probably playing it on a TV or playing it in bed or something like that if you're playing on Switch. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Fun game, good game. I would recommend it to people if they like slower games and psychological horror.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all you've been playing. Was just finishing up that.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it.
How did you find the inventory capacity? Did it like only being able to carry 6 items? Did that bug you, or is that pretty easy to work around?
Very easy to work around so when you understand the puzzles, really easy to work around. By which I mean there were 1 or 2 spots that annoyed me because I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do and where I was supposed to go. And then it annoyed me because I wanted to pick up more things and do more stuff, which makes sense. Like when you're not sure where you're going, you feel like you need everything. And there were only like 1 or 2 spots where that was a problem. For the rest of the game, the limited inventory actually felt like it was probably the right amount of inventory space, like the right amount of balance to kind of create a tiny bit of tension, but still have it be a psychological horror game. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it worked.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because that's something I haven't been playing too much. Well, obviously we're gone. Like I started Signalis, and it's so weird because like you get to that part where like it's essentially like an opening prologue bit, and like you get to a computer and like I'm totally blanking on the characters, or like what they're called, because they have names that I've heard in other things, but like the character, like their like skin starts to melt and then just fades, and then suddenly you're in another location, and I'm like, okay, am I just a new person? Am I flashing back, flashing forward? What's going on? You're like, I was like, this is quite the jump. I'm sure it'll be explained later, but I started playing it on controller on my PC because it was on sale.
Yeah.
And then I did try playing mouse and keyboard at one point when I was waiting for my airplane to arrive at the airport. But like, there's this option there where it's something like pixel matching and like pixel stretching, like all this weird stuff. I think because like the art style and like the way you play it. So when I was playing with mouse and keyboard, like when I hovered the cursor that you have in the game over something, it didn't activate it. Like it only activated it when I was like to the bottom right outside of it. Like it wasn't a perfect pixel match for some reason. But when I use the controller, it wasn't a problem. Like I walk up to it and then it's like, oh, here you are. So like you can interact with the item. But there was that bit in like not even the opening, but like the first section was like they talk about a radio, and I forgot like there's a shortcut to open the radio or like tune a radio. Because I kept reading the thing about it, oh, blah, blah, the radio. And then I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. But then when I went on PC later, and I was looking at the controls to make sure I knew what all the buttons were, it's like, oh, to tune your radio, you hit this button. I'm like, I forgot that was a thing. I think I'm past that point now where I do the tune the radio bit. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to go back and do that. But I feel like it's one of those games that I need to stick with because it'll be tough to go back in when you don't know what you were doing previously.
Yes.
So I'm like, I think what I might do is, well, I don't know if I can skip cutscenes. I could just restart it because I'm not that far. Like I went down the hole and then I'm underground. There's like all these bunkers, or not bunkers, like all these little rooms. I like saved this one room, but like I've only encountered like one enemy.
So the starting and restarting thing is kind of what I was getting at with it's not the best game to play as like a travel game because you have to start and stop. And I struggled with that because I would play for like an hour and a half on the train and then I would get to the hotel room at night and play at night. And then I would play at night and be like, what the fuck did I do on the train? Because I wasn't focused enough. So
yeah,
that was kind of what I meant by, it's not the best game for certain types of travel, which makes sense and I understand why, but that was something I struggled with of playing it on a Switch in handheld while traveling. It warranted sitting down and playing it like at night on the couch or something like that instead of while you're traveling.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'll just reboot it, save myself that headache and just only play it. But the problem is like now that I'm home, I'm like, well, I want to finish getting the platinum in Lies of P. And then I'll have to work on my Bird Tree Access at some point by playing up to that in my New Game Plus. And then Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn comes out on the 18th. So I'm like, if that reviews well, I'm interested in that game. So I'm like, okay. It's like I'm just getting that point where I'm already behind on something I want to play, but I probably won't get to it. But yeah, and I'll probably just take my time. I know there'll be like a lull at least at the end of the year. So all the games I play will just have to be staggered down the line. Like I'll probably be the last one to play Erdtree because I have to make so much progress to get to that unlock, and I probably won't run a just speed run through it. But yeah, I'll probably, I don't know, I'll get it figured out because I definitely want to do the platinum Lies of P before I lose my muscle memory and all the because I'm just at the final boss. I just have to beat the boss or the final two bosses. I have to beat them, and then
if you don't finish it now, you're never gonna go back.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to do that. And then yeah, I played a lot of mobile games. Man, so there's a couple of mobile games I have on my phone. Like we're talking about mobile games before. Where like one of the annoyances I have on certain ones, I'm playing one called like Twisted Tangle. There's just like these ropes in a knot, and you have to move the ends of them into other available like spots on like a pegboard to like untangle them. Like that's what you're trying to do. All like different colors, but. And I play another one called like Zen, where all it is like, hey, here's 5 letters, make as many words as you can. But the thing that annoys me about that game is I played a different version of it previously, but like I stopped because like every time I play a level, it would just go to an ad, and then you play another level, and then it would just go to an ad. So it was like super obnoxious. This one doesn't do it nearly as much, but I hate when it's like, hey, here's 5 letters, make words, and like I have like 1 word left. And then I make like 6 words, but they're bonus words. They just give you like bonus points, but they don't go on the board. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, come on, man. Like and you have to get that word to finish the level. It's like, it's so obnoxious. But I noticed when I was traveling, like the easiest way to get around ads in these mobile games is just play them in airplane mode. Because then you just play through the game. Like previously what I'd do is like, I'd play it when I get to an ad, I'd close the app and then open back up because it was faster than waiting to the point to where I could skip the ad. And then, but yeah, just playing the game in airplane mode, I'm like, I could just play nonstop, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Has that always been a thing, or didn't they used to? I feel like they used to limit that, or like they would download ads on, and you would just start getting the same ad over and over again.
Nah, it wouldn't do any ads because then it was like, hey, do you want to, here's some free currency. Do you want to watch an ad to get more currency? And I'd be like, nah. I'm good. Because I did click it once to see what happened in airplane, and it just sits there, tries to load, and doesn't do anything. So then I just close the app. But yeah, I just play in airplane mode. I'm like, there you go. Problem fucking solved. Don't worry about the damn ads. And then another game that came out that I think recently was Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. It's like a puzzle game.
Yeah, that just came out.
I'm interested in playing that because I'm like, even though I do have Talos Principle 2, which is a puzzle game, but like that's like a different kind of puzzle. That's like, it's in the puzzle game genre, but it's like it's different, and I know what it is because I played the first game. But I was like, oh, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, that sounds like kind of fun, like more of a Witness type of game, like multiple different types of puzzles. I'm interested in that. I need to add it to my my wish list. And then there was a game that Northernlion was playing that's in beta or has a demo out right now. It's called Blueprints, and Prince like King, Queen, Prince. And essentially it's a architectural roguelike where you have a mansion and you have to get from the entrance, from like the foyer to this antechamber at the end of the mansion. But the rooms that you can build you're in the opening room. It's like, okay, you get some random like blueprints. It's like, oh, this is a hallway, so you only have a door at the end, or like this is a foyer, so you have 3 other doors you can go to. This is a kitchen. It just kind of it's a left turn or a right turn, what have you. It's like, and you can put yourself into like the dead ends, but like there's ways to like put down rooms in certain positions, and they'll like give you bonuses or unlocks, or like like, hey, if I put down the kitchen, it'll always have fruit, which I can collect first this, or it'll have extra coins, which I can use for other things. Or this room always has a key, and the keys are used to unlock. Sometimes you put down a blueprint for a room, and one of the doors are locked. In order to unlock it, you have to have a key. But if you lock yourself out, then you have to, start over, and you only get like a couple days to play each cycle. And I watched him play it, and it looks really fun. I was like, wow, this seems like my kind of game. But it's, again, because I watched him play the demo, I'm like, I kind of want to wait for the full game. And I think the only difference in the full game is that there might be some more room types. There's also more real estate locations. So it's not just the one.
What's this game called? Blueprints?
Blueprints, but again, Princess
like,
of Royalty.
Yeah.
So, but you're putting down blueprints of rooms. And it's, I think I shared it in Discord, but like, it seems like a game like you would like as well. simply from the architectural design of it. And that's the only reason I'm really interested, because I did like architectural design back in school. But
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it got a fun game.
yeah, it's like there's some blueprints you can get for like green rooms, but green rooms can only be placed on the outside of the outer edges of the map, obviously, because they're outside, so they have to be on the edge of the mansion. They can't be in the middle. But I think like there's one that's like you can do one, but it's like a higher tier. And like every tier you go up, like there's on the blueprint, like every level, like it unlocks additional things. Anyways, it's you can watch Northern Lion play. It has a couple of videos up to get an idea. But yeah, it seems like a really fun game. I have it on my wish list. I actually threw a ton of stuff on my Steam wish list from the Summer Game Fest and from NL playing. Like when I looked at my stuff the other day, I was like, oh, there's a summer sale going on. What's on my wish list? But like, I threw like on again blueprints. The release dates TBD. Beneath is another game I added, which looks really interesting. I'm waiting for that. Again, still waiting for the altars. There is a demo, but I'm like, I don't want to play the demo. I just want to play the game. Forever Skies is on sale, but I'm waiting for that game to like release in 1.0. And then Once Human is another game I have on there. Screenbound, of course. Forever Winter. But I have like a ton of these games that don't have like release dates. They're all to be announced, but like I just threw them on. Like I'm like, oh, Banishers of Ghosts of New Eden's on sale. But so Pacific Drive is 40% off.
I keep getting tempted by Pacific Drive. It seems like a game we would enjoy, and I keep waiting for just some sort of like big patch or something before I dive on it.
Yeah, that's because I hear like people play it like they like it, but there are these little sticking points that seem very common between the people I listen to.
Yeah,
and I'm definitely waiting for that 0.1 patch that kind of fixes those little annoyances.
Yep. So that's exactly my opinion. They all have the same complaints, and all of those complaints seem like they can be fixed in a patch that's slightly larger than normal. So I keep waiting for that because it feels like a great game. It looks really fun. I think I would enjoy it a lot. I just want those little things fixed so that the experience is like a really good one.
Yeah. Volcanoids is another game I have in here. It's only in early access still, but it came out in early access in 2019, and like it's still not in 1.0, but it seems like they haven't made as much progress as you like. I was watching like one of those this game in 2024 videos for it, and like it seems like they haven't made nearly as much progress as they probably could have over 5 years. So but that's a game that seems really interesting to me, where it's like you're on an island and you're in this like, we'll call it like a drill car, and essentially it's like every 15 minutes this volcano explodes on the surface, so you have to like go out, forage your materials, and then go back to your drill car and drill into the ground, into a tunnel, and go underground until everything settles up top. So it's like you have this deadline, but they give you a timer for it. And I'm like, I kind of wish they kind of wouldn't give you that timer. So you just kind of have to keep track, because then if like you and your friends played or something, like, okay, let's get the resources.
Seems like, yeah, it seems like it'd be more fun if it was a surprise, or if you got distracted because you were having a really good resource run, then you'd get fucked. Like the element of surprise there could be really, I don't know, could add to the tension.
Yeah, and like when you play like Subnautica on hard mode and they don't give you the, make sure you rise to the surface, you're running out on oxygen. Like they don't tell you, right. You have to pay attention.
Which you still have like the oxygen beeping at you and stuff, but yeah, they don't spell it out quite the same way. Yeah,
they don't remind you like seek fluid intake. Yeah, it's like you got to pay attention to that stuff, and you can get distracted definitely in that game. But yeah, it seems like it'd be fun. But I guess like they have had some pretty decent updates for it, like this Tesla update, and there's like there are things on the surface that you can fight. So there's like a survival aspect to it, but it seems like the Tesla update kind of made it a little easy for the players as far as like the weapons. But yeah, it has that standard loop that kind of like, get materials, upgrade to get better stuff, and then you get, better equipment, get more materials, like that standard loop. And it looks really fun, and I want to play it because there's another game that's just like it called Void Train that came out in early access in May of 2023. And that game apparently is pretty good now, but like it needs some more like mid-end game content, because I feel like I guess from what I've seen from everybody who's reviewed it or played it, says like it gets very samey eventually, and so like that's kind of like what makes it lose its it's polished. It's like, okay, now at this point I'm just doing the same stuff. But both those games, like, I'm really interested in, especially because they're also both co-op, which I like, and they're like open. And again, I like open world survival games. So yeah, I'm hoping Volcanoids comes out in 1.0 at some point. But I figure at this point, it's probably just going to be waiting for Forever Skies, which I think is going to do 1.0 either this year or maybe the start of next year. Because I'm really interested in Forever Skies, because that seems more like, Subnautica in the air, which I like. But yeah, I don't mind playing Planet Crafter. That game's in 1.0, but it's 40% out. But like, I would want to play that co-op. Like, I wouldn't want to play Planet Crafter solo. But yeah, there's like a lot of stuff I'm definitely interested in. But yeah, right now I want to finish Liza P and all that jazz. But and we'll see what happens with Flintlock, how that turns out. What I'm trying to look at my other notes. Yeah, I got access to the Battle Aces beta, and I'm like, well, I could play that, but I'm also in the Valorant beta, and I'm like, I'm in too many betas. I'm like, I did have fun with Valorant, but I didn't play the proper mode. I just did team deathmatch. So I'm like, I need to do that, and then I should try Battle Aces just because I'm interested in it. But
you have so many games you're interested in. Play Shadow of the Erdtree.
I have to. The problem is, I would have played Shadow of the Erdtree when it came out once I was finished with Liza P's Platinum, but I'm not in the position to enter the DLC, and I'm like, and I don't want to have I don't mind having to replay it, because again, I talked about last time where it's like, it'll help me relearn Elden Ring after playing Liza P and learning its mechanics and kind of getting off that thing. And maybe I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get I have that little buckler shield that increases like the window in which you can counter whatever or parry. It's like, I guess I could run that to kind of make it more like Liza P. But yeah, I'm like, I got to do all that. So I'm like, because there's no, like, if I was ready, I would just get stomped if I went into that DLC after playing Liza P. Like, there's no way. But
yeah,
it's so funny. Like, I'm in the I'm not in the subreddit, but because when you browse the subreddit, like, Reddit does that algorithm thing, like, oh, you visited it once, so here's the suggested, like, in your main feed.
Clearly, like, this is your biggest interest ever because you've been here one time.
Yeah, it's like every 10 articles in your main feed is like a suggested post from Liza B. But it's so funny seeing people like, oh, I'm stuck on this boss, or I'm stuck on this boss, or I'm stuck on this boss. And it's like, it's really interesting to see a game where it's like people are still playing it now who are stuck on. And it's that Souls thing of where, like, the bosses that you might get stuck on aren't the same. Someone else might have one shot, or the ones that you one shot are tough for someone else. Like, that's the one thing I always like about Souls games. It's like, it's so everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and it's also like, okay, maybe this boss is better with well, I guess in Elden Ring just do magic and kind of own everything. But it's like, okay, you're doing this build, so it's like, because of that build you're doing, inherently this boss here might be a little tougher versus if you did, these builds. So it's like, it's always funny to see those things. People are like, F this boss. I'm like, are you really that boss? Like, yeah, I had to do him a couple times, but really that one? But
I mean, God, I remember in Bloodborne, I've always had this with Souls games. I feel like you and I disagree on hard bosses all the time, which kind of is funny. Like, I thought, you think Melania is not Melania. Lady Maria was easy, and I struggled with her the first time through. And I want to say Lawrence in Bloodborne you thought was hard, and I beat him like handily. Just like historically, I think you and I have always disagreed on which bosses are the hard bosses, which is kind of fun.
Well, I've always had I think it's because of the lock on human-sized bosses. I always like them because I'm like, okay, I can see them clearly at all times, and it's like, all right, let's go one-on-one. But it's like any boss is kind of big where you have to get close. It's like, I feel like just that camera angle and not being able to see fully what they're doing and only seeing half the attack animation I should be paying attention to if I'm locked on. It's like, okay, now I didn't realize they were doing that move, and I gotta be careful or something like that. Like, that's like, I saw in Elden Ring, I guess they patched it in so you could use the mount in the final fight. I'm like, that must make that fight so easy, having the freaking mount.
I saw that note, and I agree it probably makes it really easy now, and I fucking hated having to run after he teleported, so yes. I do not blame them at all. That was the change that should have happened, even if it makes it easier, because it was so annoying having him teleport and be like, well, guess I'm running across the map now. Oh, I didn't make it in time before he teleports it again. Guess I'm running across the map again.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, gotta make it easy. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff to play. I'm still not like, I've been browsing at Gamer Pals and PSN Friends subreddits and being like trying to see if like but it seems like so many of those posts are like Facebook Marketplace replies where like people are like, why are people posting multiple times but you don't reply to the DMs, you don't play, you're not available? Like it seems like there's people who are not necessarily like bots but like just flaky. But like yeah, I browse this all the time, like see like, maybe I'll find someone who's playing something similar or who's playing the Valorant beta on console and then I can play with them or something like that. Like I gotta find some other gamer friends, man. I used to have so many back in the days. Like the heyday of Fortnite had like, 9 people on my list who would play it.
Turns out it's hard to have gamer friends when you get older, and also when you can't play for 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day.
Well, even then, it's like I'd still play like 8:30 to till I go to bed or whatever. But yeah, obviously I can't do like directly after work until bed or something like that. But
right.
It's like everybody moved on to everything else. Like there was the people moved on from Fortnite, especially like when Warzone. It's like when other games come out, it's like people kind of move over. Like, oh, a lot of the Fortnite people went to Warzone. I didn't go to Warzone. Apex Legends, I went there. I got some new people, and then eventually they kind of like went on or whatever. It's just like, yeah, it's rough. I miss all that era, the early era of like PS4. I feel like was some highlights. Even PS3 with like Battlefield 3 and whatnot was like a great period. But yeah, I miss that multiplayer stuff. But anyways, I was trying to see here what else I had. Yeah, Ace is there, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Man, so I've been to like 5 hotels the past 2 weeks, and like just from how much traveling we're doing. And I hate there's these places that have like these, they either have no tray for the soap, and the soap just has to sit on the counter. And it's like, okay, that's great, because now it's just fucking the soapy water when you put it down can get everywhere. And then there were a couple locations where like they had like a square tray that was flat with like raised edges, but the soap they had was also a rectangle and flat. So it's like when you put the soap down and then overnight it dries on the tray, I'm like, okay, this is a pain to get off. And then even if it was wet, it's so hard to like get a grip underneath the thin goddamn soap to get it off the tray, because there's lips, so you can't just put it to the corner and slide it off. It's like you need to put either round soap or a concave tray so I can get it out of there. Like it's such a pain in the ass, man. And it's so funny, like we stayed in the same chain of hotels on our family trip, and it was like each one had its own excelled in like one thing and then sucked in everything else.
Yeah, God, working in architecture and traveling, the amount of things that I could complain about with hotels that just bother me. I fucking hate, my biggest pet peeve ever is hotel rooms that are clearly only designed for one person, by which I mean that like the bathroom has like a 2-inch gap, so there's no way that you could ever actually have privacy in the bathroom. Like stuff like that just drives me nuts.
Yeah, like in the hotel in Vegas, like I'm like, was this made by short mobsters? Because the ceiling is so low. I'm like, if you're like 6'3", I'm like, good luck, man. You're gonna be dugging everywhere. Like it was such a low ceiling. It's like clearly it's just to maximize space.
Yeah, they're trying to fit in as many floors as they possibly can to get more money.
Yeah, and I hate the ones that have like, they have an AC unit, but they don't have it. It's just, they don't have it controlled by the wall unit, and then they don't have any indicator of the temperature in the room. Like, don't have a thermostat. So I'm like, okay, I can set it for 72 or whatever, but I don't know what temperature it is right now. Like, I don't know. I just know it's warm. So like, okay, how close is it? Yada yada. It's like I hate, like, show me what it is, so at least I can see where we're at and how low we have to go. And then it's like some hotels didn't have any speed change, like low, medium, high for the fan. And it's just like at nighttime, I'm like, man, I just want to put it on low, but you don't have a low. So it's just loud ass fucking AC that comes on every 20 minutes to cool down the room because we're in the middle of the the desert, but it was just like, or then the worst, like, oh, this has a really nice bathroom, but they don't have a freaking any shelves or things in the shower to put any toiletries. Like, there's nothing. And then it's like, oh, this one has stuff that's mounted in the shower, your shampoo, soap, and body wash. And then it's like, still no trays. But it's like, okay, at least you have those. So I can, get that out of there. But it's like, why don't you have any tray for
my new
the
pet
shower?
peeve with Portland hotels is a lot of them have started doing bar soap for washing your hands, which just like doesn't feel as effective. I'm like, just put a fucking bottle of like Dove soap there or something. It's like super cheap, or whatever the like cheap grocery outlet soap is. Just buy a bottle of cheap soap. Don't do fucking bar soap for your hands.
Yeah, bar soap is stuck. Like my wedding band is like, it has like, when it goes in from the edge, it gets raised up and it has like an elevated like center piece. Anyways, so like if I use bar soap and I hit it on my left hand, it like collects and like breaks off soap on the ring, and it like bugs me so much. So I either have to make sure like, okay, I get a bunch of my right hand and I only get the palm of the left hand and then work the soap in. Like, don't rub the bar soap over the ring, because then it'll just shave off soap. And I'm like, or take it off if I remember. And it's like, yeah, bar soap is just so annoying. Yeah, and I hate when they don't have like a proper body wash in the shower. It's just like, here's your shower soap. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just use this. But
Or again, bar soap in the shower, which supports my hotel rooms only designed for one person. It's like, maybe people share bar soap if you're like married and stuff, but I don't know. It's just weird. Just put
typically
fucking
in that case, I'll take like
bottle
the wash rag and just get the soap on that and then use that. But then I feel like that also doesn't lather the soap as well as if I just took the soap straight onto my body. So it's like, okay.
right. And also then you need actual, washcloths or things, which some hotels don't do anymore. So it just, I have a laundry list of things that piss me off about hotels.
It's also like, we have 4 people in the room, 2 parents, 2 kids, and like you still only have like 2 bath towels. And I'm like, can you not, like, we booked it for 4. Can you not stock it with more? But, or there's like this weird thing that hotel, like the one in Vegas did, where it's like, oh, we only clean the room when you leave. I'm like, okay. I'm like, unless, you can request it again, because we had like a sick kid when we first went. So he's like throwing up on the bedding. We have to like get extra bedding, yada, yada. But it was like, okay, so you're not going to take out the trash like at all while we're out and about? And it's just like, I don't care about not making the bed, whatever. But like, take out the trash or something. Or like my kid dropping crumbs on the floor. I'm like, can you, like, I'll vacuum it. Just give me the vacuum. Like, I just want to, come on. Why do you got to wait till we leave? But yeah. Or I had like one where it was like, it said in the hotel, like, we only clean every other day. But then they cleaned every day. And I'm like, okay. And it says like, if you want to reuse your towel, hang it up. And I kept hanging up my towel and they kept taking it anyways. And then I had like on the last day I was there, like I was like, okay, I'm not going to go into the office because I'm just going to stay at the hotel, meet my coworkers at their hotel, and then get the ride to the airport later. So I'm like, okay. So I slept in a little, took like a later shower, but it was like, 8:40 by the time I took a shower or whatever. And like I put the do not disturb on the door, and then I'm in the shower, I hear a knock, and then I hear the door try to open, but I had the latch on it. And I was like, I have the sign on the door. Like, it's there. And can you not hear, I guess you can't hear the water running, even though it's like super loud when I'm in there, like the piping for some reason, like it's right next to the wall. But I was like, come on, man. Even someone else was like, did they try to clean your room? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. I was like, I guess because it's like more business people at this hotel. And I was on the 4th floor, so it wasn't like I was on, number 1, but it was just so weird. It's like, yeah, why are you trying to clean it so fast, man? And I hate that they're like, there's these, perks like, oh, you can check out later. I was like, how about checking in early? Like having to wait till like 3 or 4 to check in a hotel is stupid. Like, I hate that shit so much. It's like, because, oh, we arrived early. Oh, we can't check into our hotel yet, so we have to drive around for a while. I'm like, man, I just want to get out and take the stuff out of the car. I don't have to drive around, do nonsense while we wait to get to the hotel. Like, I want to get to the hotel first, then travel afterwards. But
yeah, it's not fun to wander around with all of your shit or keep all of your shit in a car. You stress out and freak out about it.
Yeah, it's just so dumb. Like, oh, you can check out later. Let me check in.
For all of these reasons, travel is stressful, and that's why it's nice to actually be home.
Yeah, it was so much nicer to just travel for work because it was just me, my one bag, and that was good. But yeah, traveling like with everybody, it's like, okay, you have so much stuff in the car, super hot. You gotta make sure everything. Getting in and out of the van was such a to do. Like, all right, but yeah. Anyways, trying to look to see if I had anything else noted here. Nope, just the fucking square soap was the last thing. But man, the hotel Wi-Fi too, like I was at, was so slow for my business trip. I was like, oh, I'll use the hotel Wi-Fi, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll download like a Steam game while I'm here, because like, because I bought Signalis while I was there, and I was like, luckily Signalis is a small ass game, but I only had like a 1.8 megabit down, and then I was like, how fast is my LTE right now? Because I was in like a good spot.
Jesus, I can't believe you tried downloading a game on hotel Wi-Fi.
And then, well, typically I never had issues with the hotel Wi-Fi. Usually they're pretty fast, or at least, fast enough. But yeah, then it was like I turned off my Wi-Fi on my phone. I checked I speed tested. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting like 140 on LTE. I was like, I'll just hotspot my phone and then download it on my laptop that way. And then I forgot, like I should have known, but like when I flew out first, I was like, oh, I'll use my laptop on the flight out. I was like, I'll plug it in. I was like, so we have outlets. But I was like, it wasn't working. I'm like, they must have like a wattage limit. And then I asked one of the flight attendants, like, is there a watt limit on the outlets? And like, they didn't know. But then I looked it up later. I'm like, yeah, it's like, I think like 30 or 60 watts. I was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to let a 300 watt laptop battery charger plug into the outlet and work, because that'd be insane. I also realized I should start booking exit row seats so I have more space for my laptop. But anyways, lessons learned for other times. I also need to get a proper travel charger, like a folding one, so I can put my phone and my watch on it. That way I don't have to worry, because the one I have is like one of those standing ones, and like that's okay, I guess. But like it because it's standing, it doesn't collapse and it takes up some space. I also hate, like, I lost my I had these little like travel like packs that go into my travel backpack that like you put your clothes into, like little rectangles or squares, and you can like zip them and kind of compress them down. And I love those things because like then I can kind of separate my clothes. Also, because otherwise when I put clothes into my pack, like I'm laying it out, put all my stuff in, and then I close it and zip it up. But as soon as that bag goes vertical, all that shit just falls down. So now the bottom of the backpack has like all the electronics and cables. All my clothes are at the bottom, and it's like just a big bottom. And I'm like, it doesn't stay, evenly spread. But if I had those separating packs, at least they could stack on each other, and it wouldn't do that. But I don't know where I put them. Yeah, just all these little things. Also, I might have to get a proper like carry on maybe, and then I just do a little pack. But I don't know. I like the travel backpack I have. It's nice for just like a 2-3 day trip. But
I mean, I have a small little like suitcase that fits super easily overhead, and I always like that for flying.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up for this episode. I gotta figure out what I gotta go get for my shopping and all that shit, and I gotta pick up my kid from my mom's because he's spend the night. But anyways, I got some stuff I gotta do later, so we'll probably wrap it up there. Alrighty. Well, thank you for all tuning and listening. Thank you, Isli, for joining.
Yep.
And we will see you all next time.
Later.